Steve, we'll start off first of all with the news that came out on Wednesday night regarding the club's pre-tax profits for the 11 months leading to June. Obviously good news given what had gone 12 months earlier.
I'm sure everybody concerned is delighted with the figures. And since then, obviously, we've been able to reinvest back into the club and bring some players into, especially in July and August. So I think next year's figures might not look so great, but it shows the progress of the club. And of course, that's all down to one thing: the Barclays Premier League is huge, and that's why we have to stay in it for as long as we possibly can. And if we manage to do that, then of course everybody, certainly healthier the club becomes. And as you've seen from the figures, they're a good set of figures, so I'm sure the owners and everybody concerned are delighted.
And it does highlight just the job that the Alams have done since they took over here, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, the one thing when I first met them 2.5 years ago, that, there's, and no disrespect to the club I work for now, there wasn't a huge amount of people ready to buy Hull. And to be fair, it was in a bit of an awful state. So to turn it round so quickly and be in there 2.5, 3 years is a remarkable achievement by everybody concerned. And let's hope we can keep it on the right track, because that's vitally important too. It's a big, huge city here who follow the club through thick and thin, and a lot of it, to be fair, has been thin. So it's good to enjoy the good times, and long may it continue.
And a positive note to emerge from the international break from, just as it was to go into it on the back of an important 2-0 win.
Well, we needed it. It seems a long time ago now, but we needed it just at the right time. I mean, let's be fair, we've got back-to-back games now against Arsenal and Liverpool, which is always going to be difficult. So just at the right time, we managed to go and get a good result, which I thought we thoroughly deserved on the day. And it was typical of last year. When we needed a result, we got one. So let's hope that continues also.
You've touched upon it there, these fixtures coming out of the international break. It couldn't be much tougher. Realistically, what would represent success from these games for you?
Well, if you can get anything out of them at all, it would be a success, But we know how difficult it is to go to not many people go to the Emirates and win, and not many people go to Anfield and win. So that's the challenge of being in this league, and that's what it is, It can be relentless at times. We've got a really tough run of fixtures over the next 6 or 7 games, and when you look at the fixtures, you look at them and think, wow, that is tough before Christmas. However, that's the Premier League of what we know it. It's never easy. So we're going to have to go there, and Arsenal have got a few problems themselves with injuries. Let's hope we can go there and play well like we did in the cup final against them for large periods, and see if we can go and take them on.
We often talk about the Premier League being divided up into effectively 3 divisions, but as you look at it right now, if you could get a surprise win this weekend, you could climb up to 4th. You're only 2 points behind Manchester United.
Well, it shows you how. Yeah, Man United are supposed to be in crisis in the 4th. It shows you how tight the league is and how difficult the league is. And it seems year on and year out we still say the same things. I mean, teams like ourselves have improved immensely, but when I look all around the division, everybody else has improved too. The standard seems to get bigger and better, and the more quality comes walking through the door every year. We just have to look at clubs like Manchester and Arsenal and what they've done, and that goes right the way through the division too. That all the teams have bought well in the summer and improved their squads.
In terms of players coming back from international duty, how's everybody shaping up?
Well, we haven't seen Aluko yet, and we haven't seen Diame in particular. They were playing on Wednesday night. Everybody else has come walking through the door okay. So, touch wood, up to now, everybody seems okay. I mean, of course, I'll have a look to see, as I said, Diame and Aluko in particular only played on Wednesday night. We're not going to see Diame at all. It's pointless. He gets into Heathrow this afternoon. So we're just going to leave him and get back into London, and we'll see him later today in the hotel in London.
It raises another question, doesn't it? In a week when we've heard that Raheem Sterling didn't play because he was feeling fatigued, as a manager, how much of a concern is that for you with somebody like Mo Diame?
Well, I made a mistake with Hernandez after he came back in the last international break. the planes he had been on. He had to go back out the country, play for Uruguay, halfway around the world. We come to Newcastle, and I could tell on the Friday that he was physically tired. I mean, I've been on a plane for a few hours this week. You come back, no matter what you are, who you are, if you're hanging around airports, in planes, playing games, playing international games, you are fatigued. There's no question about that. So I'll have a look at the squad and make sure that I don't make the mistake like I did at Newcastle, because it's not fair on the lad either. You know, when you're flying through time zones, and in particular we've got 4 or 5 of them who have done that. We'll see how they are and see how they are in particular today and see how bright they are in themselves.
On that issue of Raheem Sterling, were you surprised to hear that come out?
Well, we'd like to know the real truth in it. Has he been, I don't want to add fuel to the fire, but has there been some dialogue between Roy, and has there been some dialogue between Brendan? I mean, that's obviously got to come out, and they've got to. Clubs are in an awful situation. They want the players and they pay them and all the rest of it. But if we're going to have a successful international team, then we've got to. It's like the big raging debate now about next year's European Championships under 21s. Do we take the full squad? And there'll be managers jumping up and down that they don't want the young players having a summer all football again, which you can understand if you're a manager. However, tied with that is the international scene. We'd love to see the under-21s lift a trophy, wouldn't we? And the international scene do well. So it's a horrible situation, and I don't think you can win it. But we have to start making, not rules, but we have to start putting things in place that we are going to play. We're best at under-21 team, and that's the way forward for me. I know it's difficult, but I would like to see the international team for sure, and for one, to go and succeed.
I don't want to digress too much from this weekend, but just on that note then, you think we should take the best players to the under-21s?
Well, we haven't won a tournament in years. So it would, for me, it would be, yeah. And of course, the international managers who've got them, and we've got 1 or 2 now. We've got 1 or 2 now in and around the 21s, Incy in particular. And I can't see any reason why you would want to not let them play. I think we're being totally selfish, but then we are like that as managers because we want the best. But if we want the national team to succeed, then we've got to let our best players go and play in the big tournaments. Otherwise, every other country seems to do that. So why don't we?
Finally from me, to go to somewhere like the Emirates and get a victory, do you need an element of luck, the rub of the green on the pitch?
Well, the last time we played against them, we played in the cup final and we played to a maximum. And it took us to extra time before we lost. But the one thing we did on the day was play particularly well, and we got off to a great start. It's never easy going there, no matter whether they've got injury problems or what have you. They're a really good side who can beat the best of teams at the Emirates. So we're up against it, but let's go and enjoy it. As I keep saying, that's what the Premier League's all about. Let's go and have a go at them and see if we can play well on the day and see if we can catch them on a bit of an off day.
Good luck.
Steve, can I can I just ask you? Hull City fans have fond memories of a victory at Arsenal back in 2008. I wonder if you recall the goal from Giovanni.
Giovanni, I think. Well, didn't Giovanni score at Newcastle and Spurs and Arsenal at the time? Was that correct? I remember it well. Yeah, of course. I think it's probably the only time we've gone there and won. Has it? In what history is it? Yeah. Well, there you go. So let's hope we can repeat 2008. But the last time we played against them, I said, was the cup final. It was a marvellous occasion for everybody. And we played particularly well on the day. Weren't quite good enough to see it through extra time, but overall the way we played was what we've got to do tomorrow. We've got to make sure that we play to our maximum. And if we do, and we're not quite good enough, then fine. But let's hope we can go and have a go at them and have a challenge and accept the challenge of what they possess.
I just think, looking at your situation and the profit figures that came out this week, you think you're in a unique position, but a different position from many other managers in the Premier League in terms of your autonomy and authority here at this football club. You've no director of football, for example, and things like that.
Well, that's quite correct. There's no director of football or no chief executive at the moment. But the one thing I do obviously I work closely with the owners in particular. And the company secretary. And I think when you've been managing like I have for a long time, then the one thing that I've been brought up with, and maybe it's a bit different now, with the younger managers anyway, is to try and manage the club like you would manage yourself. You know, you want the club to succeed, of course, but, you know, we've got to be realistic, and we've got to have parameters and what we can spend and what we can't spend. And, of course, you know, the main aim is to make sure the club is healthy. You know, before the Allams took over, let's be fair, the club was in a wrong, bad place after winning in 2008 against Arsenal. You know, it's fair to say for what happened, and I'm not privy to it all, but how the club goes from where it was into that near enough abyss. And let's be fair, without the Allams, it could have gone straight down the river if we're not, if we're not, you know, if we're going to be honest about it. You know, it was close to going into administration. It was close to being a Portsmouth, if you like, because, as I've said repeatedly, there's not many people prepared to go and put their money into a club like ours, which the Allams have done for the community. The chairman has said that repeatedly. The reason why he bought the club was not his love of football, I think, was his love for the club and the community itself, that Hull itself needs a football club to be in the top end of in the divisions, whether that's in the Premiership, like we are now, of course, or even more importantly in the Championship too.
But from your own point of view, I mean, you've had an influence in establishing the academy at Bishop Burton and pushing for that, and obviously the first team matters. Do you think that rival managers look at you, Steve, as some sort of envy?
I don't know. I mean, listen, the world we live in football now has changed, like everything has probably. But the people who employ me, and I've said this, their greatest strength is they let me go and manage. And I think it was vitally important that we addressed the academy, because, let's be fair, we haven't been awash with people coming through and playing in the first team at this level. Of course, there's been people who's come through and played in the lower divisions, yes. But we haven't produced many Premier League players or Championship players for that matter, if you look back even in the history books. So I think it was important that we addressed the academy. And of course, everything that else goes with managing the club, I feel as if it's my responsibility to do it. And we've made huge strides in the last couple of years. Let's hope that we can keep moving onwards and upwards.
Thank you very much.
Steve, how long do you think memories of that day may will resonate with the fans? You know, when you play Arsenal, fixtures against Arsenal in the future.
Well, it was the greatest day for a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of people since, and we were close. And I remember watching the thing after 2-3 days, realising how close we were. You know, it took extra time. You know, and the biggest disappointment on the day for me was of all the great players and the great skill and the great flair that they've got, Arsenal, the score from a free kick in a corner, which is doubly hard to take. But we were fantastic on the day. Everybody had a wonderful day, but we lost, and we could have been so much more. You know, we were close to pulling off one of the big shocks of an FA Cup final, but didn't quite happen.
So you think in the future, you know, when fixtures like this come up, the fans will always think, you know, that time in the cup final?
Well, I sincerely hope so. I mean, we've only been there once, and let's hope we can go back again quickly. Let's hope it's not another 100 and odd years, but I think it's fair to say that everybody enjoyed the day. Why wouldn't you? And to go 2-0 up in a cup final was quite remarkable. And as I said, we just ran out of steam a little bit and a bit of juice, but we give a hell of a account for ourselves. And if we can go there tomorrow and repeat that, that'll be great.